Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. We are going to be continuing talking about Emma, and I am once again joined by Bethany from Prince Kai Fan Pod.
Hi.
Every time I get really close to saying I'm joined by Emma from Bethany,
I would answer to it. It's fine.
it's fine. That's just how it is.
I start my new job soon, and I went yesterday to get a look at my library, and I'll be working as a school librarian. And it was like this whole conversation of like, do you prefer to go by Miss Beth, Miss Bethany, Mrs. Finger? And I was like, Miss Bethany is fine. I didn't know I had options.
Yeah, you're like, whatever is fine.
I
It's
prefer
cool.
Miss Bethany. I don't like being called Beth, and honestly, I don't know if I'd turn around if someone said Mrs. Finger. Like, okay, Finger has been my last name for over a decade, but no one actually says Mrs. Finger to me, so it would take me a second to like adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In high school, I went by my last name. Um, but my boyfriend and I were still dating in high school, so jokingly people would call me by his last name, so I've gotten used to
Aw.
answering to everything. Weirdly enough, though, I had someone continuously address me by my middle name because it's in my email, so they kept calling me like
Oh.
Miss my middle name, and I was like,
Maybe
that's
they think it's like a hyphen last name kind of thing.
I don't know, because it's, when you have your email, it says your actual name and then like your email address. So it's like, it's kind of like a big assumption to go by, especially because I've corrected and I would like, thanks so much, Rachel Ames. And she'd keep going, Miss my middle name. And I was like, ugh, okay, don't do that. It's weird.
It's like cringe.
Yeah. It's like at this
That's
point,
funny.
if I say Rachel, I keep saying Rachel. Why would you not just go, okay, thank you so much, Rachel? And I emailed this lady for months and then she got fired or quit. I'm not really sure, but she no longer works there.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, no longer have this issue.
Oh man.
But do you know what never quits? My love for Jane Austen. That's a
Right?
transition. There we go.
Love it, love it.
Roped it right back in.
I was just saying before we recorded that I got so caught up in the story that I actually did finish the book. So I hope I don't accidentally give anything away because this is actually our second to last episode,
We're
not our
close.
last one.
I
So
know. I can see the ending on the
oopsie
horizon.
daisies.
It's fine. But we are on chapter 34. Now Miss Elton is saying that everyone is visiting her so much and she has so many social engagements that they can hardly
Oh
have a day to
no.
herself. I know. The
Oh golly
horror.
gee, I have too many friends.
Oh, pity me. I'm just so popular.
It's like Chandler going like, "Oh no, my wallet's too big for my $50 bills and my diamond shoes are too tight."
Yeah, truly suffering, as you can tell.
Just such a struggle.
My purse dog doesn't fit in my Louis Vuitton purse. But she just seems to think she's the bee's knees and that she's the absolute ruler of fashion and everyone needs to get her opinion on everything. And Emma's like, okay, whatever, weirdo.
Emma's basically like, "Do you have any idea who I am?"
Literally.
What's funny is like this whole book so far could be like the audacity of this bitch, but
Mm-hmm.
bitch. But from Emma's perspective, it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
ugh. Like she just gets so frustrated by everything she does or says, and it's like, girl, you're the kettle or the pot, but what? You're the same person. You get that, right? Like that you
Literally.
way too many things in common for you to be this hypercritical of her.
Yeah. It's only because she's new, I feel like, that Emma's enraged by her.
Do
You know?
you
Like,
think part of Emma is like a little upset that the attention is waning from her to Miss Alton?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
Emma's been
Like
used to
I'm the
being like the it
star.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emma very much gives me like you have you ever been in like a small town and there's always that
Yeah.
one girl that's like super hot and everyone's like, wow, like this is the girl. And then
Yep.
one becomes adults and like finds, partners and moves into the town, or their partner moves into the town, whatever. And she's no longer the it girl, but she's still like from high school, thinks of herself as the it girl. And you're like, we all have like adult jobs now. Like,
Right, like once it become well, and also being a teenager, that was a really long stumble. But
mm,
being a teenager, you're getting shaped, right? You're getting molded. That's when you get to know yourself a little. You're starting to get to know yourself as a person. You start thinking independently, um, and it's very influential time. And we're extremely influenced by the people in our school, whether we want their acceptance or not. So
mhm,
can you imagine being like from the ages of like 14 to 18 being told that you're like the most beautiful, perfect thing in the universe. And then at like 20, you find out you're not. It's like, well, that was my whole identity. Like, that's how I got through the last 6 years. What do I do now?
mhm, mhm. I saw this TikTok about this girl, and she was one of two sisters, and one sister was considered to be the smart sister, and the other girl was considered to be the pretty sister. And then the smart
Yeah.
sister went on to do like this it was like a Reddit to TikTok post, but she went on and did a PhD and now like drowning in debt, whereas the quote unquote pretty sister went to college, became a nurse, and then a CNA, and then married a surgeon, and's like financially well off, while her parents are like struggling in the debt of the other sister who can't seem to land a job. And I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
I have um I have sisters and I'm the like loser sister, you know?
Yeah.
Like Lindsay, my sister Lindsay is 5'11". She has blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and the longest eyelashes you've ever seen.
Hmm.
She's definitely the pretty one, right?
Hmm.
My sister Samantha is like quiet and reserved, but when she does open her mouth, she's very well spoken and intelligent, and she's funny. She says like she has the most dry sense of humor, but it always like just nails. And then
Hmm.
I'm me. Like I'm not dumb, but I'm not a highly intelligent person. I'm not ugly, but like you're not gonna look at me and be like, ah damn, girl. Like so I'm just like kind of there while like my sisters are the pretty ones and the smart ones and the funny ones, and I'm just like, she talks too much and reads books.
But
Or
we
probably
love that
listens
for
to too
you.
much Taylor Swift.
And we love that for you. And I think you're the best sibling.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I have two siblings, and it's we used to have like that kind of situation growing up where we all had like fell into a niche. I was like the book smart one, but however, my younger sister always seemed to get better grades. And now she's going to school to be a doctor, and I am doing a podcast. So I don't, it's fine. And then my youngest sibling just started school, so I guess we have to figure that out. But
My sister Lindsay is great at math and science. So she's she's going to school to be a mathematical engineer. So how is that fair? She's 5'11" with blonde hair, blue eyes, a gorgeous face, ridiculously long eyelashes that could be their own commercial. And she's like a mathematical engineer. That seems unfair.
yeah, I wish I was her.
You're
I truly did. Yeah,
pretty tall, aren't you?
I'm 5'7",
I'm
so
just really short then.
I'm
Because that's still like
mildly
6 inches
tall.
taller than me, right?
Once I went to internship, and I was the tallest person. Like, I always thought I was like average, and then I went to an internship and everybody else was like 5 foot to like 5'4". And it was weird because every time I'd like walk in the office, there was like two men that were taller than me, but everybody else was shorter than me. So I'd
That's
like walk in and
funny.
I felt like a towering giant over like my internship. It was weird.
I'm literally never the tallest person in a room. There have been people I've met that are slightly shorter than me because I'm 5'1" and a quarter. So I've met people that are slightly shorter than me or at my height, but I've never been the tallest person in the room, unless you count when I was a preschool teacher, in which case I was a ginormous person.
The
Um,
only benefit it gives you is for some reason you're asked to get every box off of a tall shelf. I'm like, who
oh
put these
yeah,
up here? Because it wasn't me, and none of you can
I
reach
do
it. How
that.
did these
Well,
get here?
like we just talked about how I'm starting my new job as a school librarian. I
Hmm.
went to my library yesterday and got a look around the room, and it's a charter school, so I'll have grades K through 8.
Hmm.
And the way the last library, no shade, okay, but the way the last librarian had everything set up was not appropriate for those heights.
Yeah,
You know, like a 4-year-old is not going to find llama llama on a shelf that I can't even reach, and I'm 32. Okay, I was like,
yeah,
that has to get changed. And they thought it was so funny because I'm so small. Like they were like, well, what would you put up there? I'm like, well, first of all, we need to get at least one step ladder. And he's like, oh, you'd be surprised how tall our middle schoolers are. I'm like, dude, I can't reach that. I can tell you, I can guarantee you right now, even if I jump, I am coming nowhere near that top shelf.
yeah.
And their faces were just like, oh, she's so little.
Yeah, my boyfriend started doing that where he stores things on top of our cabinets and I can't reach them. And he's like, "Oh, hey, can you grab that for me?" And I'm like fully extended. I'm like, "I'm not climbing on this cabinet. I'm not
Oh,
doing it."
I immediately jump on the counter because how else am I going to get it?
I don't want it anyways. It's like some of the whiskey he drinks, so he'll be like, "Oh, can you grab that for me really quick?" And I'll be like, "No,
No,
I
get it
actually can't."
yourself.
Yeah.
If you're old enough to drink it, you're old enough to grab it from the counter.
I'm like, "Unfortunately, your storage solution is not me friendly. So, no, I will not be grabbing that."
Quentin is like over 6 feet tall, so pretty much anywhere he goes, someone will ask him to grab something, right? Because he's so tall. He's
Yeah.
gotten to a point now where he just offers. But he thinks it's unfair because he's like, I have to come to like a literal crawl on the ground to reach the bottom shelf. And no one has ever been like, do you want me to grab that for you since you're so tall? But like, I'm tall and I have to grab all the top stuff. And I'm like, you poor, sad little man. That this is like the hill you're going to die on.
Hmm.
I was like, what do you grab from the bottom shelf anyways? Like, I don't know, but I might need to. You don't know. I know you can still grab from the bottom shelf, and to a certain extent, I can only jump so high.
Hmm.
Like,
It's that one ketchup packet that's down there. Yeah, I they always put the tea stuff on the very top shelf at my like restaurant job. And I guess it's good that I'm the opener because, I just grab it. But I was opening with someone else who's like 5'3" probably. And she was looking at it and looked at me and looked at it. And I'm like, I don't know why they did this to you. I really don't. They could have put it anywhere else.
right? But that's not where it goes.
Yeah, and there's no way to
How
like climb up
how
this
tall do
ladder
we think
either.
Miss Elton is? Do we think she's taller than Jane?
Okay, here's my fan theory. Okay, my little brain headcanon. I think she's like outrageously tall. I think that she's
Miss
taller than Mr.
Elton?
Elton. Yes.
I was getting that impression too.
Yeah, I think she's like one of
Because
those
she like
people.
looks down on everybody.
Yeah, because she's
Yeah.
like very into fashion, and for some reason, my head means when you're into fashion, you're very tall. I don't know why. There's no
Tall, or
reason to
you
think
wear
that.
shoes that make you
Yeah,
tall, right?
yeah, you're either tall or you wear stilettos, and there's no in between. Everywhere you go, stilettos, 6 inches. But yeah, so Emma is like, I know I need to have a party for them, but I'd rather not, which is a mood.
Story of my life.
I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore, like have parties for other people when they show up in town.
I mean, my sister just had her 28th birthday. She came to Vegas for 4 days, and all 4 days we had to do something. We had to go out to eat. We had to go shopping. We had to go mini golf. We had to go to the pool. We had to go play bingo. I was like, Lindsay, I love you, and I got you a really nice present, but
Mhm.
I'm poor. I cannot afford to go to all these places. And she's like, well, the pool is free because it's at my hotel. And I'm like, why don't we just spend all of our time there?
Yeah.
Because that I can afford. Something free I can afford.
Yeah. My one of my friends is going on a trip with or a weekend vacation with one of their other friends, and the girl said that they since they're only bringing $300 for the weekend for her and her partner, that's not enough money. And I was like, whoa, whoa, what? I'm sorry, $300 in a weekend for two people is not enough money. Where are you guys going?
Split a McChicken at that
Yeah,
point. Like, hop through a drive-through before you get there, and then be like, "We'll just have water."
yeah. I'm like, I would not be in attendance, and this is after the hotel's already been paid.
No, gross.
Yeah, I've
I
never
stay in
spent
the
that much
States.
money in a weekend.
I can't spend that much money in the weekend, or my rent's not going to get paid.
Same, big same. But I've like never even saved up that much money to spend in a weekend. Like that's horrifying to me.
I probably spent that much on during certain weekends. I guess, like going to Harry Potter World. You know, you go, you have to pay for the gas to drive there. You have to pay for the ticket. You got to pay for the hotel and your food.
Yeah.
I probably would have spent that much here and there, depending on the situation. But it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I day trip everywhere because I already live in Florida.
True.
So I don't hotel. I don't eat in parks whenever I go somewhere. Like we basically pack our lunch for everything.
Yeah, when my husband and I did our 4-day drive, we packed like apples and peanut butter sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do
It's
chicken
cheaper.
salad, chicken pasta salad because it stays
Potato
cold.
salad.
Yeah.
Love me a good potato salad or deviled eggs.
I don't like deviled eggs. I don't like the texture personally.
I love deviled eggs.
I know I feel like I'm missing out, but I can't get past it.
What
But
do
you
you
know,
think about? I bet Mrs. Elton always goes out to eat.
yep. I was gonna
I
say,
bet if she, if
what
the
Emma can't get past.
opportunity arises, she's like, "Let's go."
Yep. I was gonna say, what Emma can't get past Mrs. Ellen's behavior. Um,
Because Emma would be like, "It's so cute and adorable that we're gonna have a picnic." Mrs. Elton is like, "Rubbish. You uncultured swine."
Ellen would be like, I've already had it catered by. I'm trying to think of like Outback. I don't know where rich people go. That doesn't feel right, but like some sort of steakhouse probably.
Yeah,
Rich people don't go to Outback. I
if
don't
I was
know.
getting anything catered by a steakhouse, it would be Texas Roadhouse, right? Because I don't eat a lot of meat, but I love their salads and their rolls are delicious and they have great mashed potatoes.
I like their baked potato. Chef's kiss. It's delicious. Um, but yeah, Emma invites Jane Fairfax to be friends with herself instead of with Mrs. Elton. It's not working out. And then Jane apparently went out in the rain to get letters. And I'm like, girl, that's real sus. And everyone's like, why would you do that? And she's like, well, I just
Oh,
really like walking.
no reason.
Yeah. And then you're like so caught into the lie that now you actually have to go out every day to go get letters because you've already told people that that's what you do every day.
It's like there's a TV show where like on the first date the guy was nervous, so he said he hates olives. So for the rest of his life he can't eat olives. And it's like lies we tell.
Yeah. You can't even change your palate. You got to be like, nope, still
Yep.
hate them.
Nope, this is my life now.
So for some reason, Jane keeps looking like she's about to cry whenever someone brings up marriage, and I'm like, girl, what did Frank Churchill do to you? Because it had to have been him at this point.
Well, because we're given the indication of like who else could it be?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if this is a red herring because sometimes like Jane Austen pulls one over on me, but
I
like,
know. And she does that so well too because it's like, what?
yeah, you're like out of the book, and then you read the book back, and you're like, oh my god.
It's like I thought I was reading a romance, not a mystery.
I know. It's when I found out that like Darcy was actually into Lizzie, I was like, bruh, what?
Yeah.
Whomst? Okay.
The one who's not handsome enough for you?
I made a tweet today that I said, you know that trend where it's like she's a 10 but and then
I
like
saw that.
I'm proud of that. Okay, I thought it was funny.
I love that, and that is one of my favorite representations of Charlotte
Yeah.
in the films. I think that actress did a phenomenal job, and I think that that line is so incredible. Like we're given the implication in the book and in other adaptations of Pride and Prejudice that she doesn't that Lizzie is like middle class at best
Hmm.
and Charlotte is below that.
Hmm.
And when she marries Mr. Collins, it's like, oh, she's greedy and it's a moment of opportunity. And from this perspective, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like, well, what else is she going to do? She has no money. She has no prospects. She's already
Hmm.
20 years old. Like, at
Already
least,
averted their parents.
like, oh, I hate it. I'm so glad women don't have to live like that anymore. At least in the Western world, it's not
Yeah.
as often, I should say, because it's only a couple decades ago. Well, okay, that's wrong. It was only a few decades ago that my grandparents had an arranged marriage, so I can't be too like judgmental. But I'm just glad that we've moved past that for the most part.
Yeah. I will say though, as soon as I turn 27, that will be my Instagram caption for my birthday.
Even if you're married,
Yep. I'm 27 years old. I've got no money, no prospects. My boyfriend will be like, "What?" And I'll be like, "Leave me alone. This is my moment."
be like, I don't see you with a ring. Well, don't you have a while before you turn 27?
Yeah, I think I'm 24 right now. I don't know.
So,
After I
yeah.
turn
He
21,
has
I'm like,
3 years to propose. It's fine.
it's fine.
You
Yeah,
guys have only been together for 12.
yeah, casual, whatever. Yeah, every time tell people how long I've been together with him, they're like, why aren't you guys married yet?" And I'm like, "We are both the same age, and you're not married yet." So that's a
Yeah.
lot of comments from someone
See, my
who's.
sister has been with her boyfriend for 7 years. Um, the tall, beautiful one.
Mhm.
She's been with her boyfriend for like 7 or 8 years now, and they're still not married. And she's been like wanting the marriage for the last like 6 of those 7 to 8 years. Like, so, and she's 20, she just turned 27. So she's 4 years older than I was when I got married because I got married at 23,
Yeah,
which I guess is pretty young, but
I'm
I
not
don't know.
super worried about it, but also like it'll happen when it happens. But like, we just got a
Yeah,
financially stable job, so I'm like, all right.
I mean, there are reasons to get married beyond I love ya, you know,
Yeah,
um, especially in the United States, because how else are you going to get on somebody's insurance plan?
yeah. I'm
Like,
like, by the time I turn 26, we're probably gonna have a courthouse wedding or something because he has an adult job and I freelance, so I would like to be on his
don't
insurance.
knock the courthouse. I did it and it was great. It
Listen,
was
I don't
nice.
want a big
It's very
wedding anyways.
intimate. It was just us and a couple people that we love,
Hmm.
and it cost next to nothing. I got my dress from Target for $17.
Perfect.
It was awesome.
I love
Saved
that.
so much money.
I want to do that and then like have. I'm either gonna do like a really small, intimate wedding and then have like a big party at my house
Nice.
or something like that. Because I don't want to spend. I don't. Okay, my thing is I don't want to spend what could be a down payment on a home on a wedding.
On a wedding.
Yeah, that seems stupid
Yeah,
to me.
I want the money to go to my marriage, not my wedding.
Exactly.
Yeah. If we had spent like the amount of money we got as like gifts for our wedding, because people give cash and checks and stuff,
Hmm.
we were able to get an air mattress and a chair, both used. But
Nice.
but if we had paid for a wedding, we wouldn't have even had that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know. I don't need a giant wedding. I don't need everybody to like be there. Like I'm okay. It's a lot for me. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. I just don't want to have that sort of investment. I'd rather go on like a nice vacation afterwards.
Yeah.
Or
I still haven't
perhaps.
gone on a honeymoon. I'm hoping someday.
Yeah. I would just be like, all right,
We
this
didn't
is it.
have the chance when we got married to do the honeymoon because we had to move like that day.
Oh no.
So I'm going on 10 years of marriage with no honeymoon.
What was that? Sense and Sensibility, where Lydia was like already leaving the like like left the chapel and immediately got in a car and moved. Was that?
Yeah, I think so. No, no, that was Pride and Prejudice.
Was that Pride and Prejudice?
Because Lydia is in Pride and Prejudice, not Sense and Sensibility.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Mrs.
Next
L.
chapter.
Yeah, let's see.
Mrs. Alton is like, oh no, I gotta go outside.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm gonna have someone deliver your letters, and Jane's like, ugh. And then next chapter.
Pretty much.
So 35. Mrs. Elton will only talk to Jane Fairfax. So Emma and Mrs. Weston are left to like talk to themselves, and everyone's just like weirdly grouped, you know? And
It's like
everyone's
those weird social cliques where everybody's from a different group.
mhm.
And then like two people have to talk and you're left alone and it's like, I'm from the chess club and you're a cheerleader. What could we possibly have in common?
Yeah. So then you like both pull out your phones and just proceed to like scroll through
That's when I
mindless
grab my
Facebook.
Kindle or my book. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
for sure.
So Mrs. Allen is not letting this trip to the post office go. And then she's also like trying to find Jane a man. Like I'm just imagining Mrs. Elton like pulls out Tinder on Jane's phone and Jane's like, let's not do this right now. And she's like, no,
Like,
we're gonna find you a
Sophie!
husband. Let's set up
We
your
can't let you
profile.
be single forever. Come on.
I know. And like, oh, we don't know what's going on with Jane and Frank. So I'm like, are they dating? Are they courting? Are they secretly married? And then he's gonna see Tinder on her phone. Ugh.
And be like, WTF! I've been betrayed.
Yep.
Be
I
like that melting emoji.
I think they're secretly married. Is my guess. I don't
Ooh,
know.
that's a good guess. It's interesting. We'll see what
That
happens.
will see what happens.
Anyways.
So, she doesn't want to be set up with a man until the Campbells are back. And I'm like, what? Why? What does it matter?
She's just like full of flimsy excuses that make no sense.
Yeah. Which I love that for her. Like she's a terrible liar. Don't know why she's in this position, but whatever.
It's like she's too open with information, right?
Mhm.
It's like the difference between like my husband and I, like if I call in sick for work, my husband is like, I need to take a sick day and they ask him questions and he's like, I need to take a sick day. I need to take a sick day. I need to take a sick day until they get the he's not giving them information, right?
Mhm.
Whereas I do it and I'm over here and I'm like, yeah, well, I have a fever, like a really bad fever, and I've been sick all day and coughing, and they're like, uh-huh, and it's like, and did I mention the fever? Uh-huh, and I keep giving them more information, but I end up looking really shady because I'm just like giving the same excuses.
Mhm.
That's her. They're like it's like if you hadn't lied at all, if you had just stuck to your guns and been like, that's my business, it
Yeah.
would have been fine. But because you first like you set the precedence of offering information, you now have to consistently provide information.
Yeah, she's got it like
It's too
scrolled
late.
on her hand with
Yeah.
her all her lies. Post office every morning.
Just like to get my extra steps in, you know?
Yeah, she's like, I'm really on a health kick right now. And then apparently Mrs. Elton says that she's Mr. Woodhouse's favorite. And Emma's like, I'm literally right here, and that is my father. What is wrong with you? Like, literally, who would say that? I know, that offended me. I'm like, girl, back up. But Mr. Weston showed up, and Mr. Knightley's kind of pissed because this means everyone's going to have to stay later now. And then it's announced that Frank Churchill is coming back to town, which is why Mr. Weston came over to spread the news, and everyone's like, cool, awesome.
This is great.
Yeah. And I was very interested to see James' reaction to this. So then we are on to chapter 36. Mr. Weston says that he hopes he can soon introduce Frank and Mrs. Elton and says that he opened the letter addressed to his wife, which like freaks out Mrs. Elton. Mrs. Churchill suddenly wants to come to town even though she was like so sick she couldn't get off the couch. And I'm like, girl, why? Like
Right?
This
If
lady's
you're
so
so
flip
sick you
floppy.
can't get off the couch, stay on the couch.
Yeah. And then like she feels better and then suddenly she's really sick again and it's all dependent on like when Frank actually wants to come to a social engagement and when he doesn't.
Like,
So,
that's interesting.
yeah.
It's like you can always tell when my husband is going to use me as an excuse to not go places. Because if he tells you, oh, I got to check with Bethany, he doesn't
Hmm.
want to go. He doesn't have
Hmm.
to check with me. He's 35 years old. He does not have to check with me. He just does not want to go. He's going to, quote, check with me, and then he's going to be like, oh no, can't go, guys. The wife, drat.
Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
Yep. Yeah, mine is hold on, let me double check my calendar and then checking calendar, seeing I have an open day, checking with Daniel, is this actually an open day? And then being like, do we want to go though? No. I have a recording that day. That sucks. It simply cannot be moved.
It's so interesting because I feel like, especially after COVID, it's more and more acceptable to just be like, no, to
Yeah.
this thing. It's, no is a complete sentence and it's okay to use it. But I
Mhm.
feel like I also grew up in an era where you have to constantly and consistently make yourself unhappy and uncomfortable for other people. Like, you don't want to go, too bad that person wants you to go, so you have to be there. You're
Mhm.
too sick to go to work, too bad they need you at work, so you better be there. Like, we're constantly, when I was growing up, especially when I was a teenager and having jobs and going to school and stuff, it was like you just go, you have to. And it's
Mhm.
like, why are we put on this earth to make ourselves uncomfortable for the comfort level of other people? Because
Yep.
if they really cared about us and we said, like, you know what, I have melancholy today, so no, my mental health is not capable, they'd be
Mhm.
like, got you, you
Yeah.
know?
I had a friend tell me the other day and she was like, I would come, but I don't want to get out of bed. And I was like, respectable. You have a great
Yeah,
day.
gotcha.
Fair enough.
I had one time, I had like severe melancholy,
Hmm.
which I get frequently, but it was really bad one day, and I like could not get out of bed, and I was texting my sister, and I was like, I'm just gonna like watch Friends and get under my heated blanket, and I'm not even gonna eat because then I would have to walk all the way to the kitchen, and I don't want to do that. And like 20 minutes later, the doorbell rings. She had door dashed me food so that I wouldn't have to cook anything. Just because I
Oh,
was like sad one day. She sent like breakfast burritos. I was like, this is amazing.
what a homie. What a homie. Love
Like,
that.
you're more romantic than my husband. He's like, you don't need breakfast burritos. Well, Lindsay's like, I got you. I live in another state, so I'll just DoorDash it.
How sweet. I was on Twitch and one of our friends got their one of his friends door dashed him food because he said he hadn't eaten yet. Well, all
Nice.
while we were on Twitch, and I was like, I love this.
Yeah, because she lives in Utah, so in order to do that, she has to DoorDash. There's no other way to get it to me.
Yeah,
So I just think it's like adorable that we live in a time where from another state someone can send you something in a matter of minutes. Like, I
yeah.
got you.
That's
Here
so
you go.
sweet. I love that.
Yeah. Anyways,
Anyways,
nobody sent anything to the church from the Churchills.
yep. So, Mrs. Allen also is like, has he heard of my arrival? I'm sure you've heard of my arrival. Like, girl,
Tell him I was here.
yeah,
You told him I was here, right?
scrawling, Mrs. Churchill was, or Mrs. Elton was here on the side of the building.
Just so everybody knows.
Yep. Jane is being super, super silent. Um, and yeah, then Mr. Weston roasts Mrs. Churchill for just no reason out of the
He's
blue.
so rude, right?
Yeah, I was like, dude, what? And he's like, I feel like she's lying. I'm like, are you sure it's not your son who's lying?
I would also be like, it's not your business if she's lying. What's it matter?
Yeah, literally. Like,
The
what effect?
scoundrel.
Yeah, he's like, I think she is faking her illness. We're all like, whoa, probably, but also, whoa. And then Mr. Knightley makes a random comment about Emma never being home. And Emma's like, "What are you literally talking about? I'm home all the time." And then they just start bickering, which is adorable, and I love it. So, chapter 37. These Roman numerals are still messing me up, but I'm doing my best. So, Emma is nervous apparently that Frank still feels something for her and will be getting his emotions in the mix. And she's like, I don't care about him. Also, it's not even confirmed that Frank feels anything for her, which
No,
I.
it's just like it's again, it's what we see so consistently throughout this book so far is just like making assumptions based on very little information.
Mhm. And Emma's like, he's
Like
in
I have
love.
the picture you painted. Like,
Yep.
but you have a picture. I have the picture you painted.
Hmm.
Awkward. What do I do?
Yep. And it's like Emma's just not learning from her mistakes at all. And I think it's adorable. I just think it's funny.
What were we talking about earlier about being like the pretty one or the smart one? Emma's the pretty one, but she wants people to think she's the smart one, and in
Mhm.
doing so, she like constantly overestimates herself.
Yeah. She's like, I'm a matchmaker. I know when people are in love. And we're like, no.
Like you wouldn't know love if it bit you in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Cupid
Emma,
himself could call you and you wouldn't listen.
yep. He'd be like, hey, they're in love. And Emma would be like, no, he's in love with
Nuh-uh.
other people, actually. He's in love with Harriet. Emma is
Exactly.
nervous. Oh, sorry. I just said that. Emma thinks he's less in love and he stopped in only for the briefest moment before quickly hurrying away. I'm like, hurrying away to see Jane?
Because he gotta go see James? Is that why?
Are they going to take a walk to the post office?
No, they go. Post office is by herself. He would take her to like FedEx or UPS or somewhere fancy,
Only the rich go to FedEx.
right? Yeah, we don't trust UPS in my house anymore.
UPS will literally lose your package and just be like, hope it gets there. Smiley face.
Yep.
Heart.
I got mine, at least I got reimbursed for mine that they lost, but it was a crocheted blanket that I made with my own two hands. And the amount they reimbursed me didn't even cover the yarn, let alone like the labor and stuff. So yarn
Uh,
is expensive. I don't
yeah.
think people realize that. If anybody ever makes you a blanket, if they like crochet you or knit you a blanket, just know that it's expensive, okay?
Yeah, it is. I buy my yarn from Walmart.
Yeah.
Um,
This
otherwise,
this yarn was from Walmart,
mhm.
but it was that blended yarn that changes colors.
uh,
Yeah, so it was probably like 100 $120 worth of yarn.
oh God.
Yeah. Plus the amount of time it takes to make it and the packaging. And I was
Yeah.
just really bummed because somebody out there has a handmade blanket that I made for a friend of mine, and I'll never know who stole it.
Yeah. Hopefully they at least appreciate it.
Right? But then, like a week ago, my fairy loot didn't come in. And it's through UPS apparently. I don't get to choose that, but so
Mhm.
I like looked it up and it was like the person no longer lives at this address. I was like, the hell are you talking about? I definitely live here and
Mhm.
I work from home. Ain't nobody coming to my door anytime. I never seen them come to my door. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I call UPS. I wait online for like a million years and they're like, oh, nothing we can do about it. And I'm like, but you have the package. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but we've already sent it back to the sender. I'm like, it says in Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas. The package is in Las Vegas. I
Yeah.
paid $60 for it. Like, can I just have my box? But their program doesn't work that way. So I had to like contact Fairy Loot. And Fairy Loot was like, did you already talk to UPS? And I was like, read the email.
Yeah.
Because in my email, I provided as much information as possible, including every word UPS said to me and a copy of the email transcript I had going on with UPS trying to get all this information.
Mhm.
And they're supposed to send me another box because that's an expensive thing to not
Yeah.
get anything back on. But I still haven't gotten anything yet.
That's
I'm
annoying.
very sad.
I heard a lot of people have been having issues with the Bookish box. Have you heard about that?
No.
Apparently, I've been seeing people talking about it mostly on TikTok, but I guess like they're like months behind. on
Oh
getting
man,
stuff to like the
that's a bummer.
people who ordered it.
This wasn't them at all. This wasn't their fault. This was
Yeah.
UPS's fault.
Yeah. I get nervous about ordering stuff from like Bookish merch shops. Like I want to, but I'm also like I get stressed about mail and things like
I've
that.
never had any issues with Fairy Loot. That's why it's such a bummer. But it's not Fairy Loot's fault. It's
Yeah.
100% the UPS person's fault. But I'm just super bummed because I want my package.
Yeah. Cuz I have issues with cuz at my apartment complex they have to drop it at our door if it doesn't fit in our like mailbox thing. And sometimes people just decide they don't want to do that and send it back. And so I have a lot of anxiety around actually getting my own mail because I sometimes I just don't feel like dropping it at the door, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Like,
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping that um, we'll get out of the apartment soon and we'll have like a more closed way of getting our mail.
yeah,
Not like where everybody can see a box on my front door.
yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
be able to like get mail.
I
It's like,
what I need to do is like just set up a PO box. Then I know exactly where all my mail is going.
yeah, I had to send. Daniel wanted a carpet for Christmas for his car, so I had to send it to our friend's house because they don't live in an apartment, so that we could like actually get it. Because I was like, if this gets sent back, like I'm already buying it from a slightly sketchy website. If it gets sent back, I'm not seeing that money ever. So I was like, let's not do that then.
That's so funny. Well, luckily, it doesn't look like any of our protagonists have lost packages recently
Yeah, Jane just making that daily trip.
to the post office.
So after 10 days in London, Frank and his aunt moved to Richmond, which apparently is closer, I guess. And they're like, okay, time to have that ball now, which just love that single track mind for them. And then we are on
They
to,
have their priorities.
yep, they're like, this is what I want. We are on to chapter 38, I think. I need to like write in little like, what is that? Parentheses, the actual number, so I'm not counting it when I say it.
Yeah, it's 38. The party is upon us.
Yep. Quite a few people are there early to help, which makes me laugh because they say basically everybody in attendance except a handful of people are already there early.
Nice.
Yeah. Frank seems stressed and he keeps moving about, and I think he's looking for Jane.
What?
Miss, sorry, what?
It's like, why would he look for Jean? That doesn't make sense.
I think that's what he's doing. I think I this is my head canon, and I am not going to be dissuaded until Jane Austen herself tells me what's going on.
Until Jane Austen herself.
I'm going to
That's
get to the end of the book, and I'm going to be like, I was so wrong. So,
now you can write the fanfic of it.
yep, that's the other option. Mrs. Elton
Anyways,
says that she likes Frank, and I don't know why. She just has met him once and decided he's the best person alive. I did fully skip the absolute wall of text from Miss Bates because it was like 2 full pages, and I was like,
there's
no,
so much. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. We get it.
yeah, because that's always like nonsense too. So it's just like,
She talks in circles too, right?
yeah,
Like, um, it's like, I went to the grocery store is one complete story because you went to the grocery store, but you can turn that into an entire novel.
mm-hmm, yep.
This is why I went to the grocery store. This is what happened on the way to the grocery store. Maybe I fell in a cave. Who knows?
Yeah, and then I ran into Margaret at the grocery store, and you will not believe what she said. And you're like, whoa, whoa, I just asked how those French fries were. I didn't need the backstory of how you got
Did
them.
you know?
Yeah, Margaret and her son, Timmy, was I didn't even know Timmy was home from the boarding school. Did you know that? Anyways, so, after talking about this, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you read
It's like you
one.
never know how much information to give in a story, and it's like always less than you think.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, I could cut this in half and still it'd be too much. And the funny thing too is like once you read one or two of them, you kind of know how all of her texts are gonna
Are
go.
gonna go, yeah.
Yep.
She's that person that sends paragraphs in a text message,
Hmm.
instead of just like, hey, what's up? You ask how they're doing or what they're up to, and instead of being like, at Target, she'll send like 6 paragraphs, and you're like, what did I ask her?
Yep. Yep. I just like to imagine it's that person that every time you message them something on Snapchat, they reply with a video, and the video takes you 2 minutes to watch, and you
Right?
can't go back. So you're like losing what the question even was, and you're like, what's happening here? Where did we go?
She's that person that if she calls you, you don't answer.
Yep.
You're like, can't talk, text me.
Yep. Because if you talk to her, you'll be on the phone for like
You'll
four
never get off
hours.
the phone.
Yep. And you're like, okay, I guess I live on this phone
She's
now,
the
and you're
reason we
cleaning the
have
house.
caller ID.
Yep. The man who was the person who was inventing caller ID saw her name and was like, "Ooh, I need to know when she calls me."
I gotta
So
patent this stuff. If only there was a
if
way.
only there's a way.
Because can you imagine if she like called you the night after the ball? Because she thinks, by the way, if you haven't read the book, that the whole ball, the entire ball, is
Mhm.
just for her.
Yeah.
Like it is just for her. Can you imagine being on the other end of that phone? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I got to the party and I was just a flummoxed. Everyone was there just to celebrate me. I was such a lady, but I would never brag about such a thing. How atrocious can you imagine? Like she just would go on and on and
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, 100%. And you just have you ever had a person that talks so much on the phone that you set the phone down, gone and done something else, and come back and they're still talking?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be
100%.
her. That would 100% be her. And then Emma asks how Frank likes Mrs. Elton, and he says, "Not at all. What a mood."
Right.
Um, and then
I
she
don't
calls,
like him.
yeah, she calls him ungrateful, which I think is funny. I was like, "You are ungrateful," and I love that for her.
I love that Emma, of all people, would call somebody else ungrateful.
Yep, I love the irony of it. I think it's funny. For some reason, Mrs. Elton has to start the ball, which annoyed Emma. Emma's like, literally, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is my job. And then Emma's watching Mr. Knightley, and I'm like, ooh. And then she comments on how good he looks. I'm like, ooh. And then Mr. Elton purposely snubs Harriet.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's
like,
like
dude.
maybe that's why people don't like him.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude. Like, I guess it's because they had like Emma thought they had a history, but no one else thought that. So
Emma often thinks things that have very little evidence,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And then Mr. Knightley danced with Harriet. And I was like, adorable. Love that. What a legend, Mr. Knightley. Because Emma's made it very clear that he does not dance, even though she
Right.
wants to see him dance. And I was like, Emma, getting your wish, girl.
I know, it's so sweet, right?
Listen, the only thing I know is from Clueless. I know that Paul Rudd and Emma end up together. So that is the only reason I know this. This is like the one spoiler that I have because I don't remember anything else from that movie.
I remember everything from that movie.
My memory is
I
horrible.
love that. That is like a top 5 rom-com for me.
Yeah. My memory's horrible. So every time I see a movie, it's like I see it for the first time.
Nope. My memory is very good.
I wish mine was better, but
I
at
mean,
least it's fun.
I still enjoy it. That's
Yeah.
what matters. Is even if I do have it memorized, I still enjoy it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love me
I
some
just
Clueless.
yeah, I have to see it a lot for me to remember, and I've only seen Clueless like twice fully.
I have
So
no idea how many times I've seen Clueless, but it's nowhere near twice. It's a minimum of double digits.
it's fine. It's a good movie, so worth
It
it.
is. It is. Anyways,
So then we get another giant wall of text from Miss Bates. Again, mood. And then Emma and Knightley are gonna dance, and I'm like, yes, girl.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, finally. And then it
Fist
was like
bumping
end of
here.
chapter, and I was like, no,
I
I'm
know.
bitter.
I was like, how dare you?
The audacity of Jane Austen.
Literally. And then we are on to chapter 9. So the next morning, Frank is leading a very pale looking Harriet to Emma's house at Hartfield. And I was like, yo, what happened? And then turns out Harriet got assaulted. And I was like, in a Jane Austen
Yeah.
novel?
I was like, wait, what?
I know. That like threw me for a loop. I was very surprised that happened.
Yeah. It's also kind of terrifying because, like, you're not used to it in a Jane Austen novel. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, yeah, there was a little drama when Jane in Pride and Prejudice got a cold. And yeah, it was kind of upsetting when, was it Eleanor in Sense and Sensibility twisted her ankle? But, like, she got affected,
Yeah, she
like,
literally got jumped.
brutally attacked.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, what?
She's the
So
reason every girl is now going to carry pepper spray in that neighborhood,
literally, they've got knives and pepper spray.
right?
This is what started Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Changed my mind.
This was the inspiration.
Yep, this scene specifically.
Oh man.
So Emma thinks it's fate that they ran into each other, and now she's like starting to ship them. And I'm like, Emma, can you please cool your jets for a couple minutes? So then we are on to chapter 40. Harriet's decided to destroy the memories of Mr. Ellen. I was like, good for you, but like, also, what did you have? And she's like, had a couple things he touched. And I was like, why did you have these?
That's all. That's like all of the Elton that she has, and she's like, "It's time to move on," and it's like, girl. But in Harriet's defense, it's not her fault.
Yeah.
Harriet had a boy that she was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Emma very deliberately convinced her to completely forget about her little farmer boy and only focus on Mr. Elton.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, Harriet got invested in Elton.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's revealed
Yeah. Yeah.
that she actually has a crush on somebody else now.
I know. And she's like, I have a crush on Mr. Knightley. And I'm like, Harriet, no. I'm like, Harriet, no, don't do that. Why would you do that to yourself? Like,
Like
for what
Mr.
reason?
Knightley's kindness is mistaken for infatuation.
No. And then Emma's like,
But
this
he
seems like
danced
a good
with
idea.
me.
Yeah. And Emma's like, this actually seems fine. And I'm like, no, this does not seem fine. I think this is going to be bad. And then we're on to chapter 41. So Mr. Knightley is very suspicious of Frank, and he thinks he's making moves towards like Emma, but also
Totally.
Jane.
He's like, follow them, follow them. He would be the dad that like sends the butler in a taxi to follow them around town.
Mm-hmm. I'm imagining that this is like Mr. Knightley's first sign that he kind of has like a crush on Emma, though, and he's like, I'm just watching for her safety. That's it. That's the only reason I care. No other reason. Um, but yeah, so he's very suspicious, and he's like, if I find out that Mr. Knightley and Emma don't get together and that's only something that happens in Clueless, I'm gonna be kind of pissed. I'm not even gonna lie to you right now. I was just thinking about that right now. Like, I will be actually mad.
I'm not gonna give anything away.
That's fair. I'll find out literally next week, but also we'll be salty about it. Actually, I'll probably find out tomorrow because I'll probably do the read tomorrow. So, uh, anyways, Frank starts like gaslighting his stepmom and being like, "Yeah, no, you said you were gonna go over there. Um, no, sorry, this
Don't
is
you remember?
yeah." He's like, "You told me that Harry was gonna get a carriage," and she's like, "I had no idea until you've said it just now, so I could not have been the one to tell you." And Frank's like, Then he's like, maybe I had a dream about it. And apparently this is a big hint that he's definitely talking to Jane, because Jane knew and was happening to have talked about it to Mrs. Elton. And Miss Elton's like, "Oh, you literally just told me that. Ha, how funny, what a quinkadink." So then Mr. Knightley tries to warn Emma that it seems like there's something going on between Frank and Jane, and Emma just straight up shuts it down, which Mr. Knightley is like, "Oh my god, Emma really likes Frank." And we're
Because
like,
otherwise,
"No."
why would she shut it down so fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Emma's like, doesn't realize that that's what's happening, but that's definitely how it seems. There's a lot of assumptions going on in this book. I think subtitle for this book is "Assumptions Make an Ass Out of You and Me."
Yeah. Yup.
Like every Jane Austen book, I feel like can have a like subtitle. Like Pride and Prejudice, it's "Don't be a dick to people."
Do you it's like Friends, all of their episodes are titled The One With, The One Where, The
Mm-hmm.
One When. So it's like every Jane Austen book could be called like Emma, the one where there's a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Pride and Prejudice, the one where there's a misunderstanding. Because like half of it is based off of like one or two miscommunications, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But that's true of like every story, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like especially ones that aren't like fantasy based,
Yeah.
you
It's like
know?
if you guys had just like had one conversation where you were both honest with each other, none of this would have happened.
Every enemies to lovers book ever.
Yes.
They're like, "She couldn't like me, we're enemies." And I'm like, "She is daydreaming about you naked." So I'm reading, I just started today actually, A Touch of Darkness. And then she's like, Hades couldn't love me. And I'm like, girl.
Like that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, this man kissed you so that you could enter his domain at any time. I think he thinks you're hot. Maybe, possibly, definitely. Okay. That's not a spoiler because I'm only 4 chapters in. So,
I mean, it's a Hades Persephone retelling, so
yeah, we all know it's going to
some stuff
happen.
we already know, right?
Yeah, we just have to enjoy the roller coaster as it unwinds.
If you like Hades Persephone retellings, I recommend the Abandoned trilogy by Meg Cabot. It's really good.
Ooh, okay, I'll have to check that out. I did not think I was like a big Hades Persephone person, and then I read,
Oh, but they're so good.
I know, I read Lore Olympus, and I was like, okay. And then I read Neon Gods, and I was like, okay. And then I read, what else? What did I just read? Oh, I read Hades by Rebecca Kenny, and I was like, ooh. And then I read, what was it? Oh, Scarlett St. Clair's other book, A King of Ash and Blood, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Read that, and I was like, ooh, I like her writing. So now I'm reading this one, and I'm like, ooh, I love her writing. Highly recommend if you haven't read A King of Ash and Blood. I think that's what it's called. It's very good. Book 2 is
I
coming
mean,
out
that's
soon.
how I feel about. I love it's the one and only I should say. Hades and Persephone retelling I've read is the Abandoned series by Meg Cabot, but it's really good.
I'll have to read it. Isn't she the one that also wrote Crave, or am I thinking?
No. Crave is by Tracy Wolff. Meg Cabot defined my entire adolescence. She wrote All American Girl, Princess Diaries.
That's why.
Jinx.
I was like, I
Hands
know
on
this
Fire.
writer's name. It's because of Princess Diaries.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because that's what she's most famous for.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a movie off of your book with Anne Hathaway and Julie Andrews. We all know who you are.
Yeah. I don't think I even read the actual book, to be honest.
It's extremely different. The movie is amazing, but very different. So, but the second movie lives rent free in my brain at all times. So it doesn't matter how different it is. It's still amazing.
Those movies live rent free.
I know.
Maybe a Patreon episode in the future just for funsies. Because why not?
My sister Lindsay and I did an episode on those movies, and I swear it was just like, can we talk about the second one yet? Can we talk about the second one yet? Because I just love that one so much.
First movie, decent. Second movie,
yes, gold.
Top tier, very good.
Anyways,
Chapter 42, Mr. Knightley invites the Eltons to his home. Bad plan, but whatever. Um, Mr. Knightley, Mrs. Knightley randomly roasts Mr. Knightley's staff for absolutely no reason. She's like, do you want me to send my staff over to plan this event? And he's like, no, I think I'm fine.
like, my staff are doing a fine job.
Yeah. Like, he's like, I've had them for years. They're great. Thanks, though, lady who just got her own staff. So everybody wants to go to this little party, which I think is adorable. But like while they're walking the grounds, everyone's forming tiny little groups. So Mr. Knightley's walking with Harriet. Emma is hanging out with Frank. Wait, no, not yet. She's not hanging out with Frank yet. Sorry, I skipped ahead. But yeah, like everybody's in like little pairs, and that's very strange. So while they're walking the grounds, Jane looks super stressed out, happens to see Emma, and's like, I'm going home. Tell my aunt I don't feel well. I'm leaving. And Emma's like, are you fine though? And she's like, I just have to leave. And then 30 minutes after she's gone, Frank shows up and he seems pissed. And then he's like, yeah, I want to go to abroad. I want to get out of town. I want to leave. I'm going abroad. So, what could it be? I don't know.
I don't know.
Second fan theory, Jane's currently pregnant with his child. Second headcanon. Don't know. No idea what's happening here. That's my next headcanon, though. And then we're on to chapter 43. So the next day, the group goes to Box Hill. Everybody's again in cliques, and it's very weird. Emma is today finding Harriet and Frank both dull and insufferable. So everybody's just like in a mood. So they decide to make the entire party talk about whatever's on their minds, and I was nervous about this. Which, good thing that I was nervous, because Emma just decides to roast Miss Bates for no reason, and like basically makes a joke about the fact that she doesn't stop talking. And I was like, ooh, don't do that. Yeah, so then everybody gets offended. Emma basically caused like a big divide. Everybody stops talking, like goes on their own little way. And, as they're leaving, Mr. Knightley comes up, tells Emma off for being like super rude, and then just like fully gets pissed at her. And she feels super bad. And then she cries the whole way home. I felt bad. But yeah, that's all we have for this week. Ending on a very cheery note over here.
We only have one left.
I know. It's weird. I'm excited though. I need to know how this all ends. I need to know what's going on with Frank. I need to know what's going on with Jane. And I need to know if Mr. Knightley and Emma are going to get together.
Right?
Yeah, I need to know. And also what's happening with Harriet. Lots of loose ends to wrap up. But I'm excited.
Someday we'll find out.
Yeah. Next week we'll all find out. But thank you so much, Bethany, for joining me. Where can all the people find you and your podcast?
So I am everywhere at Bethany Finger Author, and the podcast is everywhere at Prince Kai Fan Pod.
Yeah, so go listen while you're waiting to find out what happens. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. See you in the next chapter.
See you in the next chapter.